23. U.S. Customary System and Unit Multipliers. Today our learning objectives are to convert units within the U.S. Customary System and to use unit multipliers to solve conversion problems. So when we're talking about the U.S. Customary System, that just means the way that we measure things, as opposed to other places in the world that use the metric system. So in the United States, we use inches, feet, yards, and miles when we're talking about length. So some of the length equivalents that we have are 12 inches equals 1 foot, 3 feet equals 1 yard, and 5,280 feet equals 1 mile. And then when it comes to capacity equivalents, capacity is just another word for volume. So in that case, we're talking about pints, quarts, cups, and gallons. So our equivalents in capacity are 2 cups is equal to a pint, 2 pints is equal to 1 quart, 4 quarts, and you can think of 4 quarters is equal to $1, while 4 quarts is equal to 1 gallon. And then for weight equivalencies, we have 16 ounces equaling 1 pound and 2,000 pounds equaling 1 ton. And you might not be aware of this, but the abbreviation for ounces is, I want to go back to that. Oh. The abbreviation for ounces is OZ. I'm going to get my pen. There it is. So that's how we abbreviate ounces. And the abbreviation for pound is LB. So what is a unit multiplier? Well, a unit multiplier is a fraction, which is equal to 1 using equivalent units. So, for example, when we multiply anything by the number 1, we just end up with the same number that we started with, right? So like 5 times 1 equals 5. Well, a unit multiplier is just another form, another way to write the number 1, so that when we multiply a quantity by that unit multiplier, we're ending up with the same value. It's just going to be in different units. So for example, we have 12 inches is equivalent to 1 foot, or 1 foot is equivalent to 12 inches. And I'm just going to rewrite this in vertical format, which is going to be easier to look at and is the way that we should write it when we're doing our problems. So 12 inches over 1 foot. This number is equal to 1 because both of these measurements represent the same distance, right? But they're just different units. And we can also write the reciprocal of that, meaning just flip over the fraction. So 1 foot over 12 inches. So the same distance, just different units. And the reason why that we would use these unit multipliers, they're used to cancel the unwanted units when we're doing conversions. So I'll show you what this looks like. So for example, we want to convert 36 inches to feet. Now you probably already know what that conversion is, but I'm just going to show you how we would set this up when we are doing math problems. So I have my 36 inches, and we can put this over the number 1 just to make it a fraction so that when we're multiplying our fractions, it's just easier to see, but it's not necessary to put that there. But if it helps you, you can certainly do that. And then we're going to multiply by our unit multiplier. And when we're doing that, we want to cancel out the units that we don't need. And we want to end up with the units that we do need. So here, we don't want to have inches anymore. So I want to have my inches to be on the bottom of this unit multiplier and the feet to be at the top. Because when we do multiplication and we can cancel units or cancel numbers. If you have the one number in the numerator and one in the denominator, same number, they cancel each other out. So we're gonna, before I do that, so we want to put in our conversion here. So how many feet? 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. So now we can cancel our inches. Inches divided by inches is just 1. And then we're left with multiplying 36 times 1 over 1 times 12. Or you could think of it as just 36 divided by 12, which is 3. And notice that we are left with our units, which is feet. So 36 inches is 3 feet. Here's another example. Convert 140 yards to feet. So we'll start with 140. 140 yards, YD. And then we're going to multiply by our unit multiplier. So again, we want to cancel out our yards. So yards is going to go in the denominator. That means feet goes in the numerator. And then we think, well, what is our conversion? 3 feet is the same as 1 yard. So now we can cancel our yards and we're left with 140 times 3. Which if we do that multiplication, we're going to get 0 in the ones place, 2 in the tens, carry the 1, 3 times 1 plus 1 is 4. And we're left with feet as our units, 420 feet. Now, here are some examples for you to try for yourself. So write down the number that you're starting with and then multiply by your unit multiplier and then put in the answer. So just pause the video now and work on those and press play when you're ready to check your answers. Okay, first one, 5 feet 2 inches. Now again, you might know what this is already, but let's just practice how we would write this out. 5 feet times our unit multiplier, we want feet on the bottom, and we want inches on top. And our unit multiplier is going to be 12 inches for 1 foot. And then we can cross out our feet, and we're left with 5 times 12, which is 60, and our unit is inches. 5 feet equals 60 inches. And the reason why I have you show your work like this is because later you're going to get into more complicated conversions where you're going to have like more than one unit multiplier that you're using. Like for example, you might have a number of inches and you have to figure out how many miles it is. In that case, you're going to use more than one unit multiplier. You'll go from inches to feet and then feet to miles. So that's why you just need to get practice in how these are written out so that you have the formula, you have the format for when you're doing more complicated problems. Okay, next one, convert 48 ounces to pounds. So again, we start with our 48 ounces, and we're going to multiply by our unit multiplier, ounces in the denominator, so they cancel out, pounds on top, and if you remember, our equivalency was 16 ounces for 1 pound. Okay, so we can cancel out our ounces, and then we're left with 48 divided by 16, which equals 3. 3 pounds. 48 ounces is equal to 3 pounds. Next one, convert 3 quarts to pints. 3 quarts multiplied by our unit multiplier with quarts in the denominator, pints in the numerator, that down there, and 1 quart is going to have 2 pints in it. cancel out our quarts. We're left with 3 times 2, 6. And that is pints. 6 pints is equivalent to 3 quarts. Next, we have 2 miles to feet. So 2 miles times our unit multiplier. We want miles in the denominator, feet in the numerator. And do we remember? It's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Our miles cancel out, and we have 2 times 5,280, which would be 0 there. 2 times 8 is 16. Carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And then 2 times 5 is 10. So 2 miles is 2,560 units feet. Good. Okay, that's it for today. Here's your lesson assignment. And notice there's a note that says don't use a calculator after number 6, and show your work. Just like we were working out those problems here in the lesson, show your work like that, and we'll see you next time.